Okay, for those of you joining us, thank you so much for being here tonight to celebrate the Going Om Collective launch. So you can find us at goingohm.com for more information. And I am so excited right now because I've got one of my friends here, Dr. Michelle Thompson, who is a specialist in lifestyle and integrated medicine. And I could go on and on and on just talking about her all day. She's one of my favorite humans, absolutely, hands down. And I could do that, but I'm gonna let you. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and how you decided to focus on this practice?
Yeah, so I actually really changed my own lifestyle in 1992, and that was the initial part of my change in my life. I decided that I was going to eat healthier and start doing yoga and things like that. And then in 1998, actually, I was running a massage therapy school, and so I was really in the Eastern realm of medicine, and I was doing reflexology and aromatherapy and massage therapy and sound and different things like that. And then when I was in medical school, I really we wove Eastern medicine with Western medicine, and I kind of came out of medical school a different human being. So, in my residency program, I did all of my electives in integrative medicine, and I was really just a sponge for trying to learn more and more about how could we treat people with not just the traditional pill for every ill, and what did that look like. And so I learned things like nutrition and sleep hygiene and exercise as medicine and stress management techniques, meditation, mindfulness, those kinds of things, as well as Reiki and sound therapy and art therapy and all of the different modalities that we could use to heal ourselves. And so, really, my approach to medicine, I'm board certified in family medicine, but I'm also board certified in lifestyle medicine, which looks at the six tenets of exercise, sleep, nutrition, stress management, connection with others, which I'm super excited to be connecting with you today, and then avoidance of risky substances. And then integrative medicine takes it a step further, and I'm board certified in that. And that looks at all those other modalities. So when I see a patient, I really try to help them to be their own best healer so that they don't need medications, which is, the layers are first, you know, the lifestyle piece, then the integrative piece, and then the medication is way at the end of the line. So very few of my patients are on medications. We may use it, but we are always looking at how can we take it away. So sometimes we need it in the beginning, really to kind of get control of things. But the goal is always to backpedal off the medications and use other modalities like aromatherapy or, like different techniques that we can, and figuring out what resonates with you, because some may think sound therapy is amazing and others may be like, your first experience with sound may be a challenge because you may have chakras that are kind of tight, closed, and that tension, when that opens up and vibrates through you, it may be uncomfortable to you. So just learning what works for you, and what works for you today may not work for you tomorrow. It may not work for you next week and next year. So being open to that and tapping into your own inner healer, and what does that look like?
I love that. I love what you just said and the way you described that. And yes, I've seen people come in for a sound therapy session and, they are very uncomfortable at first. So, it's there's a lot of layers that need to come out, right? So it's really
Yeah.
that can work. And someone that I've been working with for years this past week came in and had and at first it was very uncomfortable for her, but she had this major release this past week, and it was so good. It was like, yes.
Yeah, and it is so beautiful, but, I always think that, it's the uncomfortable things in life that teach us. And so, if you learn to breathe through that and you have an experienced practitioner like yourself or somebody else who is guiding you through, whether it be a sound therapy approach or a guided meditation or, a walking meditation or whatever, just letting you know that it's okay to have sometimes uncomfortable things come up, but breathe, use your breath. As long as we have our breath, we're okay. And there's more right with us than wrong with us. So we use our breath to move through that. And then coming out on the other side is definitely you're going to have more awareness, which is, I think, what we're all looking for is more awareness. So, yeah, I think it's fantastic. And so thanks for all the work that you did with the film. And I was actually, and I don't know if I had the opportunity to tell you this, but it's just amazing to see how you took all these different people's stories and put it all together and created this beautiful masterpiece of what sound means to each and every one of us and how important it is in our tools for healing ourselves.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And thank you for being a part of that journey. I mean, along that entire path, you were such a source of strength for me and just all of the knowledge that you shared. And one of the things that you had said, I mean, it travels with me all of the time. And you said that, you can tell somebody about something, right? But if you show them, if you
Yeah.
show them, then they will learn. And it's like, I
Yeah.
remember just when we interviewed you, those moments where I'm just like, and I had to be very quiet and I'm very expressive, so you were being, you were talking and you're saying these things and I had to be very quiet, because of the audio. And there were times I just wanted to say, oh, yes, but I couldn't do
Yeah.
it because you were in the middle of being interviewed. But yeah, I mean, you were such a gift to all of us and such a bright light and all of the knowledge that you share. It's been truly inspiring. And you've personally been such a source of strength for me, so I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. But I think that the important thing that you just said is we are all a gift to each other and to our world. And so it is not just me giving this information to everybody. This is me giving this information to you and you passing this information to all those around you. And so what I do is wake up every day and just really try to inspire, everybody that I come into contact with, because I hope to be the ripple to change the world. And then those people that, are part of my ripple, then further ripple. And that's really how we create change. And also, I think that we are truly an example to all of those that lay their eyes on us. And, they're going to look at us and say, oh, well, if she did it, I could do it. I mean, my backstory is I grew up from a very uneducated family and nobody had these tools that they taught me. This was all self discovery and what I felt like worked for me. And I really do love all of these different modalities and use them in my own health. And so I think that's what makes them just flow so easily because, it's what I do. It's how I care for myself. And I think one of the questions you and I were talking about is how do I best care for myself? And that changes from moment to moment. In the midst of COVID, that was way different than prior to COVID or post, coming out of COVID. It looked very different during the surge than what it looks like today. So, I went into that. I set an alarm on my phone every hour on the hour to check in with myself and say, what do I need in this moment? As I'm caring for everybody else, 25 people in the day, what do I need? And when that alarm went off, I would say to my patient that I may be with, that's my alarm to check in with myself. And so that's where mind body medicine comes in. It's our mind connecting with our body. What does my body need in this moment? Maybe it needs a glass of water. Maybe it needs to step outside and take a breath of fresh air. Maybe it needs to go to the bathroom, right? I mean, and I have said that with a patient, like, excuse me, in this moment, I think I need to use the restroom. I will be right back. And that's an odd thing to have to say, right? But that's where medicine is going. That's self-care at the center of healthcare. And unless I bring that up and out and I am that voice of it, nothing's going to change. So I think again, I have to stand up and step out and use my words and create that change. So
Yeah, and self-care is healthcare. I love that, and I love it's being authentic with where you're at and acknowledging that and the collaboration of everything. And like you said, it's a collective. Like we're all students and we're all teachers. We all learn from each
yes.
other. And we're all in it together. So I think some of the terms that we hear is like integrative versus alternative. What's the difference between those? Can we get some clarity on that?
Yeah. So years ago, way back when this was all kind of, people went into Western medicine, and then if all those that weren't doing like the traditional thing were doing alternative medicine, and that was off the beaten path. And it really got frowned on, like it's, not the traditional way. So there were a lot of people that really said, well, that's not really the way you should be doing that. That's different. And then, along comes complementary medicine, which, complements Western medicine. So it's not completely different, it's complementing it. And then we developed the specialty of integrative medicine. So how can we integrate Eastern medicine, Western medicine, all these different modalities that we know have evidence-based medicine that can support our healing and our journey. And so I'm very passionate when we talk about integrative medicine that we are realizing and we're speaking up about this is evidence, this is science. We're not talking about something that just, somebody's saying, oh, hey, go try this. However, if there's no evidence to back it and it's not going to hurt you, hey, go try it, right? If it's go take a walk around the yard and do 10 deep breaths, come back and tell me how you feel. You don't need a study to support that. But you can say that in my practice, in my experience, I felt so much better when I did that, right? So, I'm very clear when we talk about integrative medicine and distinguishing it from alternative, because it's not just something different. It is to integrate with all those modalities, and our healthcare system is changing to that. The VA hospital is leading the way at the whole health system, which really is an integration of healthcare with all the other modalities. So, praise the VA for doing this and stepping up and making this change, because you will help and heal more people if you're not just giving a pill for everything that goes wrong, and you put them in the driver's seat of their healthcare, because that's the big thing. We don't want to go to a physician to dictate to us, here, take this. You have high blood pressure, here's the pill for this. You have high cholesterol, here's a pill for this. You want to say, what else can I do to care for myself? Because we're not taught this. So I wasn't taught this. So
Right.
I'm a very big fan of education, and knowledge is power. So unless somebody stops and teaches you and takes that time, you're never going to be able to come out on the other side any differently than just, popping a pill for everything that goes wrong, which creates all these side effects. And the people don't feel good. One, they don't feel good. Two, they don't like to spend the money. Three, they feel like they're just, being told what to do and they don't have options. We all want options.
Yeah, that's such a wonderful explanation. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. So with some of the integrative approaches that you take, what do some of those look like? Can you give us a couple of examples? So you had talked about like going outside and walking, and how does that feel, and taking inventory of that. Can you give us a couple of examples of other things maybe?
Yeah. I'll actually give you a specific example that we talked about today for a patient with anxiety. I said, so what are you using right now? And she was, trying to do some of the deep breathing, but it just wasn't working for her. And I said, well, how about tea? Are you using any herbs? And she says, yeah, I am. So, just traditional medicinal teas or yogi brand teas. Herbs are very powerful in healing. Herbs are the base of our medications. It's the more natural approach to the synthetic drugs. So, I have a full tea cupboard full of, honey lavender and kava and chamomile and sleepy time tea and ginger tea and all these different teas that are really good for our health. Again, maybe it's just our aromatherapy. Maybe on the hour when the alarm goes off, you say, maybe I just need to use my aromatherapy to ground me. I have a bracelet on, which is a charcoal bracelet to hold the oils. So generally, if I'm speaking, I've got a charcoal bracelet on or some, carrier that holds the oil with me. And I use that to kind of ground me and bring me down. Art therapy, maybe just coloring for a few minutes, working on a mandala, just sitting there and knitting if you don't want to color, just that meditative movement of your hands, painting. So all these different things can be very powerful. The deep breathing we talked about, exercise, sleep is so powerful. So if a person is not sleeping, sleep deprivation leads to anxiety. Sleep deprivation, we're finding, is the root cause of many things like hypertension, dementia, heart disease, and obesity, uncontrolled diabetes, and I can go on and on. So you have to sleep, because that's when we have the restoration. So, and you and I just talked about this, sleep is hard, right? So we've got a lot to do. So it's really, really difficult. I've got a sleep tracker on. This ring is a sleep tracker. So it's called an Aura ring, and it has data. And so it syncs to my phone. And so I check my sleep and I make sure, how much REM do I have? How much light sleep do I have? How much deep sleep do I have? How much movement do I have? And it's powerful for me as data for me to check in with myself and say, am I really doing okay? And food, my gosh, food is medicine. So, the food that we eat can be the safest and most powerful form of medicine, or the slowest form of poison. And I truly believe that no disease that can be treated with diet, exercise, and lifestyle should get a pill. So we have to put the right stuff in the tank. So lots of fruits and vegetables, eating the rainbow, whole grain, plant-based proteins, those kinds of things. And, just really making sure that you're putting nutrients in your system, not processed foods. You think about that. So many people just grab a bag and eat stuff from a bag. Our body doesn't recognize that. It wants real food. And we found during COVID, people that really had a more diverse diet with lots of vitamin C and quercetin and zinc and vitamin A did much better when they contracted COVID. Was that always the case? No. But one thing, again, we learned is underlying sleep apnea or patients that didn't get good sleep, again, poor outcomes with COVID. Obesity, poor outcomes with COVID. And one of the things that comes along with obesity is underlying sleep problems. So all these things start to come hand in hand. So really just focusing on those 6 pillars, like we talked about with lifestyle medicine, as well as moving into the integrated modalities, and you choose them. Maybe it's Reiki. During the height of COVID, when I needed something, I went to the harmonic egg, which I know I saw you in the video with. I was like, oh, Christina's been to the harmonic egg. I love the harmonic egg. I went to Reiki. I went to sound baths. I did online when you guys had online. You and I had a sound therapy session online. I wanted to try that and see like what was that like. And so, when we're on lockdown and we can't get out to physically to a space, I still have you and that access, the ability to tap into not just the sound that you're giving me, but to your energy and to connect with you. And connection is powerful.
Yeah. So speaking of connection, right? And the mind, body, and spirit connection, it's all connected. It's so if one thing goes out of balance, then it's going to have this trickle down effect eventually, right? So how
Yeah.
important are our thoughts and our words in quieting the mind?
So important because really, you have to kind of tap into your positive affirmations. You can say negative, 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 negative. When you're around people that are negative, what do? They bring you down. But if you say positive, positive, you're like, they're so positive. Like I feel positive. So, I have a list of positive affirmations that I give to my patients. So I say, okay, when you're in the worst of the worst, maybe you need to go in and look in the mirror and say, I am awesome. I am healthy. I am happy. I am radiant. I am intelligent. I am creative. Whatever it is, even if you feel like you're lying to yourself, say it. I mean, put the list that I give you, hang it on the mirror, look at yourself, say it. That's called mirror work, and you start to be like, oh, and you flip the switch, you flip the dialogue. So instead of, I am sick, I'm healthy, I'm not happy, I'm miserable, you flip it to the positive. And that takes work, just like everything else. So it's a mindset, and you have to tell yourself, you have to really put those thoughts become things, right? We know that thoughts become things. So you can manifest. All this past weekend, I had a party for my husband. I was like, I'm manifesting sunshine. I'm manifesting sunshine. The weather looked terrible, but you have to really put that out there. And so I think, you create your world the best you can. And it starts here. So my son is going to be 30 years old this summer. And he actually was part of the reason I changed my life, my diet, my outlook, because I didn't want to bring another human being to this world that I was not being a good, example to. And so he will say, I know I'm not supposed to say the word hate because that's a negative word. And, and I know every day is a clean slate, new day, clean slate, because the 4 agreements is something that has drilled into this child's head. And also, I know he'll say, Mom, I know my best is good enough. And I say, yes, your best is good enough, So, and those are things we all need to remind ourselves, and during COVID, right? So you think about that when people were frustrated and agitated, and the reality is they weren't really agitated with us, right? They're probably agitated with the situation that's going on in the world. And so not to take things personally, and to really just start to, so, take your 4 agreements and use those as your tools that you live by. Take some positive affirmation. Take the yamas and the niyamas if you want to go into the yoga world, which I'm, practice yoga medicine as well. But really just, use your mind. We are in control of our thoughts. So if you wake up and you're going to have a bad day, you say it, you're going to have a bad day. If you wake up and you say this day is going to be amazing, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing the power of the mind and where that goes, the energy that's attached to those thoughts and those words, and just how it can change. And I love how you said, even if you feel that that's not the case, keep saying it because it will become the case, So, I mean, I think we all know that person that every time you talk to them, you're like, hey, how's it going? And that becomes their story all the time until they're ready to
Right.
let it go. So, yeah, it's so important. So, with someone, we've talked a little bit about this period, we're coming out of this COVID period, right? So if someone, I think that was such a really valuable time to like take things in and reflect and reevaluate maybe where we are with things. So if someone's like, I need to make some changes in my life, what would you say, so I think one of the things that you said right now was our thoughts and our words can do that. So what are some of the other changes you might recommend to somebody that's feeling overwhelmed and they're like, I want to go on this path to wellness, but I don't know where to start. Where should I start? What advice would you give them?
Well, I mean, I think the big thing that I took away was, can we just all be kind to ourselves? Can we just be a little more compassionate and a little more patient and a little more understanding? Because I led a retreat for 25 women, a women empowerment retreat, called a goddess retreat. And the one thing that I said when I was in the middle of that retreat, I looked over at the person who invited me to speak and I said, I wouldn't look at her and say, your cellulite looks terrible today. But I might look at my own self and say that to myself. Why would I say that to myself? So just flipping that dialogue and whatever if I would never say something mean to you, Christina, I think you're amazing, right? So I want to speak to myself the way I would speak to you. And I think that that's really important, is coming out of this with a little more kindness, a little more compassionate, being a little more understanding with ourselves, and knowing that 90% of the diseases begin in the mind. So we have to really work on our mind. We have to work on that mind body connection. You and I talked about the New York Times article that I was in. I was featured in that because of the work that I'm doing with physicians and really trying to do the mind body medicine with physicians and helping them with healing. And the Center for Mind Body Medicine, Dr. James Gordon, has been my mentor in all of this. And he wrote a book called Transforming Trauma. And it was just so powerful because we've all been through trauma. Prior to this, many of us had been through trauma, whether it's childhood trauma or grief from the loss of a loved one, or a divorce, or any kind of those things are trauma. But then we all went into trauma, global trauma. The pandemic, not one of us is spared from it. Not one single human on this planet, not the superstar Pink, not like everybody, the president, everybody was in trauma. And so how do we come out of that trauma? Well, it is to really tap into that mind body connection and use some of the tools like expressive arts, like expressive, shaking and dancing. Maybe it's autogenic training, biofeedback. Maybe it's mindful eating. I did a full podcast on our Be Well Therapies website. I do have a website. It's bewelltherapies.org, and I have a YouTube channel with lots of free things on there. Exercise as medicine, mindful eating, burnout, how to do mind body medicine in healthcare and in regular, individuals that aren't healthcare also, but really just starting to use those tools. And his book is great too. The Transforming Trauma book can just walk you right through. So it's not like you have to do a formal course in it. You can, but you don't have to. So knowing that you are in control, and what if you didn't do it for the past 50 years of your life, today is a brand new day. Remember that whole new day, clean slate. You can wake up and say, okay, tomorrow. And, the joke in my house is, okay, Monday, we're going to do everything healthy, right? We're all going to just like get on track on Monday. We're going to sleep better. We're going to eat better. We're going to move better. Monday's coming. But how about maybe just the next moment? So it's 7:58. How about at 8 o'clock, you say, all right, I'm not going to eat past 8. I'm going to, say the kitchen's closed. I'm going to start to do a little more, time restricted feeding, intermittent fasting stuff. I'm not going to go grab a bag of potato chips and sit in front of the television or ice cream or whatever people's guilty pleasures are. But really, making those decisions for yourself, and keep a little journal. I always have my journals. I have journals all over the place, but saying, okay, these are the 5 things I'm going to take away. I'm going to add those in and see how they feel. Check back. Did you do them? If you didn't, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Try again. New day, clean slate. Give 5 more things that you're going to work on. And that's okay. But keep yourself in check. We are in control of ourselves, not anybody else. I can't control how you're going to, even my son, I'm not in control of him. He's his own human being. So, and I think we have to be respectful of that. I always say 2 people cannot share eyeglasses. So we cannot see the world through the same set of eyes. And I think that that's important to remember. I can't eat the way you do. I can't stress the way you do. I can't sleep the way you do. I can't move the way you do. And being okay with ourselves, acceptance, self-acceptance, self-love.
That is fantastic. I love that you just use that analogy with the eyeglasses. That's so true. And we are. Things happen to us, right? Life happens to us, but the power comes from how we choose to react to it, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly, you were just saying that we have our own power, and when we harness and embrace that, and yeah, there's going to be those days where we're like, but you just reel it back in, take a breath, get back up, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I know we're close on time here, but can you tell us one more time? And if you guys haven't yet checked out the New York Times article with Dr. Michelle Thompson, if you go ahead and Google Dr. Michelle Thompson, New York Times, it will pop up right away. What an amazing, fantastic piece they did. Yeah, and highlighting your work. But can you tell us where people can find you again? I know you had mentioned it, but can you tell us one more time?
Yeah, it's bewelltherapies.org. It's BEWELLTHERAPIES.org. And, I have a Facebook page, Dr. Michelle Thompson. I'm on Instagram. It's MT Yogi Doc, yoga girl, Yogi Doc. And just Google, when you're Googleable, you can find me. So it's just Dr. Michelle Thompson, and integrative lifestyle, family medicine, mind body medicine, all those things should. And I'm always happy to connect with others. I think it's really important for us to connect. And my world is so much more beautiful because I've connected with each and every one of the people that come in my path. I learn from everyone. So thank you for inviting me to be here. I really do appreciate you and all the work that you've done. And the film is amazing. I'm so excited to share it with others and really bring to light that sound is such an important part of our healing, and silence. That's the other part, right? Silence. Like, why are we all so petrified of silence? We shouldn't be. We need more silence in our life. So thank you for bringing awareness of that.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, and thank you for being part of this journey. And your timing on that, I don't even know if you're aware of this, but coming up next, we have a discussion with Nancy and Jim Pettit from the Gong Chamber, and then we have a sound journey that follows that. So now we're going to switch over to sound and the importance of sound. Yeah, so thank you
Wonderful.
very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time and sharing your energy and your spirit, and for all of the work you do.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Namaste, sister.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Yes, thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. Have an amazing evening.
Have a great night. Thank you.